My new book, Facts That Aren't True, is out now. Don't forget about my other book, Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. Click the link in the description now. I'm a little late here, but Nathan Thompson, who's probably the most insufferable flat earther there is, and Will Duffy debated, and modern day debate said possibly the last ever flat earth debate. And it really actually should be. This certainly should be the last time ever that Nathan Thompson debates. And I'm going to show you why pretty soon in this video. And I really, really hope if anybody ever debates the guy ever again, you need to point out what I'm going to show you here early on. And he needs to answer for why he did this, because it proves without a shadow of a doubt that he's just a liar. Now, I think that he is really actually stupid enough to think the earth is flat, but at the same time, he's a complete liar, and he's a total coward, as you'll see by his performance in this video.
All right, so if we lived on a globe, and I know he's going to hold up his little sign, go ahead. This is the curvature rate for the globe.
It literally isn't. I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but this is the 8 inches per mile squared thing. That is not the curvature rate for the globe. Is it fairly accurate for certain distances? Yes, but factually incorrect that that's the Earth curve calculation. But that's not the egregious thing yet.
It would curve in all directions like a ball, 8 inches per mile squared, or 0.666 feet per mile squared. So that would give you 66.6 feet of drop over just 10 miles. From mile 40 to 50, you're talking 600 feet of drop because it's exponential.
Oh, no.
We were told that boats go over the horizon, and that's the curve of the earth. Well, the horizon, formerly known as the curvature of the earth, is not physical or geometric.
The horizon, officially known as the curvature of the earth? What does that statement even mean?
If you read Phil Metzger's book on the art of perspective, it says what.
This is literally just a book on how to draw. Like, this is an art book. He's using an art book to prove scientifically that there is no actual horizon or whatever. An art book.
What is 1 point linear perspective? And it details the horizon versus eye level. And it says, in the railroad picture, you can see where the flat land meets the sky. That imaginary line where the sky meets the land is the horizon. So on a globe.
Yeah, I mean, the horizon isn't an actual thing on our planet. So when they say the horizon isn't physical, in some sort of weird sense, yeah, but the horizon is completely, it does not work with a flat earth at all because it's below eye level, always.
Oh, we would have a.
And the fact that there's a sharp line for the horizon, if you don't have like a lot of fog or pollution or whatever, that's also 100% irreconcilable with a flat earth.
This is a famous picture from Joshua Nowicki from 57.25 miles, should be about 2,000 feet of drop. Now, the tallest building in this picture is 1,300.
This is the specific thing where this is the absolute end of Nathan Thompson. And if anybody ever accepts a conversation with him, you point exactly this out, and you do not change the subject of the conversation until he admits what he did here.
350 feet. I actually took this picture from Kenosha in a helicopter with the infrared P900.
I don't understand. Didn't he just say, oh, this is an infamous picture taken by, there's a watermark on it. And then he said, I took this picture. Let's rewind that.
1,000 feet of drop. Don't have a physical geometric horizon. This is a famous picture from Joshua Nowicki from 57.25 miles, should be about 2,000 feet of drop. Now, the tallest building in this picture is 1,350 feet. I actually took this picture from Kenosha in a helicopter with the infrared P900 from 51 miles away, just when we got above the tree line, and the entire skyline was visible. None of it should have been visible.
Okay, so he just doesn't know what he's just terrible with words. So he is saying that this is not a picture that he took, and he's just saying, well, I did the same thing. Okay, are you ready? 57.25 miles away, Look at this number, very specific, 2,185 feet. Where does that come from? He got that from an actual Earth curve calculator, not 8 inches per mile squared. But there we go, 2,185.5875. That is the hidden height. However, notice how the horizon is 0? The only way you can get that number is if you set your observer height to 0. Complete liar. Absolute total liar. If we just change this to 6 feet and we recalculate it, then we have 1,962 feet of obstruction. However, this picture is so obviously not taken from 6 feet above the ground. Look at how much water there is in the foreground. Here's the actual picture from Joshua Nowicki's actual Facebook page, and he took this photo from the top of a dune. This photograph was taken at Grand Mere State Park in Michigan. Here's Grand Mere State Park in Michigan, and here are those dunes that he's talking about. Lake Michigan is 577 feet above sea level. As you can see here, even next to the shoreline, we're at 600 feet above sea level. Google Maps contour lines are 40 feet because from every bold line to every bold line is 200 feet, and there are 5 of them. So that's 40 feet per contour line. Well, look at what we have here for the dunes. So we have 600, 640, 680. That would be 720 feet right there. If he's on top of a dune, then he's 720 feet above sea level. That's 143 feet above the surface of Lake Michigan. If we plug in those numbers, then the hidden amount of target is only 1,210. Literally less than the height of this building. Now, obviously, we can see more. Now, we all know, even flat earthers know, and they acknowledge that diffraction, bending of the light happens. And notice how in this picture, we can only see the top portions of those tall buildings. That's important because if you show him the real numbers, then he can point out that this should mean he should only be able to see the very top of the tallest building. But we know that light bends. That's really not even the point. The point is, Nathan, you lied. You lied about how much curvature there should be. You lied about how much obstruction there should be. You set your eye height to 0. That's where you got your number from. You are a liar. And now let's just enjoy the rest of what this idiot has to say. Well, not the rest. I probably won't be able to tolerate much of it, but here we go.
Should have all been obstructed by the imaginary elusive curvature that can never be found. Here's 6 lighthouses that should all be obstructed by curvature, but they're clearly visible because the Earth is flat. Here's Mount San Jacinto, visible light, Mount San Jacinto with infrared. You can clearly see it 123 miles away. We've also got videos of the Candigo Mountains, the sun setting behind them. No curvature on the surface of the Earth. So I don't know why we're pretending that going...
If you zoom in, you wouldn't... This is a hyper zoomed in photo. The sun takes up like a tiny bit more than 1 degree of arc in your field of view. So yeah, you're looking for lateral curvature when you're zooming in on your field of view by like by that much.
Going to Antarctica and looking at the sky is going to somehow end the argument about the floor. Here we have world record photograph, 275 miles. Bar de Acrens.
I discussed this in my book. Let's see, is he bastardizing the math here too? So the distance is 275 miles, and he's saying there should be 50,416 feet of missing curvature. Oh, look, he set the initial observational height to 0 once again. So show him this too. Ask him why he's lying. This picture was taken down here. The mountains down there are 3,000 feet above sea level. Sorry, 3,000 meters above sea level. That would be nearly 10,000 feet, so the hidden target distance is 15,707 feet, not 50,416. You're a liar. I didn't include this, but Nathan says once you go flat, you never globe back. So here's Duffy's response to that.
Sure. Hey, Nathan, you just false in your opening statement. I'd like you to correct it. You said once you go flat, you never globe back. Would you please correct that right now?
No, yeah, when you go flat, as far as like testing the Earth yourself, I know you might have some flipper floppers that haven't tested the Earth themselves for 10 years like I have, But once you do that, there's no way you're going to go back to believing you're on a cartoon ball because strangers went to Antarctica and looked at the sky.
Hey, Nathan, I know you're personal friends with Jaron and Robbie, and I really don't think you should do this to them right now. Were they true flat earthers? Because they're not anymore.
I don't care what some dude thinks about the shape of the earth.
Hey,
Do you have
Nathan,
any evidence
Nathan,
for your globalism?
Oh,
Nathan,
man.
you made a false statement. You said once you go flat, you never globe back. That's false. Your own friends, Jaron and Robbie,
Not gonna lie, that is a pretty funny. It's not. I guess, yeah, it's a pun, right? That's a pretty funny pun.
are no longer flat. Will you please correct your false statement right now?
All right. So are we going to move on to the evidence that the Earth's a globe or not?
You're off topic, Nathan. That's not what this debate is.
Off topic. We're not here to talk about what people think the Earth is.
Okay, so you won't even correct your mistake. That's really sad. Okay, so Nathan, let's start with an easy one. Were you aware that while we were in Antarctica, we live streamed?
Yes, I was aware there were live streams being done.
How did we live stream from Antarctica on a flat Earth? Please explain that on a flat Earth.
So you can only live stream on a globe?
How did we live stream on a flat Earth, Nathan? This is your job in this debate is to argue how what we did and what we observed is possible on a flat Earth. How did we live stream on a flat Earth? Please tell me.
Okay, you had 6 arguments. None of the...
He doesn't at any point try to deal with anything that Duffy says. You'll see.
Nathan?
Live streaming was one of the 6 arguments. So if you could stick with your arguments that
Hey, Nathan.
ended flat Earth instead of
Nathan.
just... Yeah,
Nathan.
can you chill out?
This is part of the final experiment. How did we live stream in Antarctica? Please answer.
Okay, live streaming from Antarctica wasn't one of your 6 arguments. You talked about a 24-hour sun, a 24-hour moon, a celestial south pole, airplane flights in the south. If you want to stick with your arguments, I can talk about how those are affirming the consequent fallacies and red herring fallacies. But how you live stream from Antarctica the same way I'm live streaming right now. We have internet. It's 2025, bud.
How did we get internet in Antarctica, Nathan?
The same way I'm getting internet right now on a flat Earth, bro.
How?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
Exactly.
How did we have internet in Antarctica?
So James, he's asked the question like 5 times. I wasn't there. I don't know how he got internet in Antarctica. That wasn't one of his 6 claims for proof.
Okay, so Nathan, you
Good job of James not catering to the flat Earth crybaby.
do you have any idea how we could have got internet?
Yeah, they might have bounced it off the dome, bro. I don't know. I wasn't there. Is that all you got?
All right, next we're going to talk about the South Celestial Pole. Are you familiar with what a celestial pole is?
Yeah, are you familiar with what a red herring is?
Yeah. So he's doing the mantra of you can't look at the sky to prove the ground, which is hilarious because they claim all celestial observations are flat Earth observations. So they do believe this. They stopped believing it when they realized that nothing in the southern hemisphere can work with a flat Earth. Well, they still do it, but they pretend that they don't use sky observations.
Okay, so if you're familiar with what a celestial pole is, can you please explain how there's a south celestial pole on a flat Earth where the stars go in the opposite direction than they do in the north?
Yeah, no problem. James, can I get the big screen, please?
Crystal
You
clear.
go to Google, right? If you go to Google and you type in red herring fallacy, a red herring fallacy is a logical fallacy that occurs when
This is all he did the whole time.
someone distracts from the main topic of the argument by introducing an irrelevant topic. So
What's the topic of the debate? What's the topic of the debate?
I'm still talking, bro. Can you chill with your Tourette's?
You need to tell me what the topic of the debate is before you can establish that I'm going off topic. What is the topic?
You're talking about the topic is did the final experiment end flat Earth, which has to do with the ground, and you're talking about a celestial South Pole.
Part of the final experiment was documenting the South Celestial Pole. The South Celestial Pole is not possible on a flat Earth. Your job is to show how it is. Can you do it? Yes or no?
Yeah, what'd you document? Let's see it.
You haven't seen the videos that we have of the South Celestial Pole?
No, I haven't seen them. You haven't shown anything either, bro. Are you gonna show anything?
He knows exactly what's going on, and he's just hoping that this is like when you bring up a claim, and somebody says, "Oh, do you have any citations or studies for that?" And then if you don't have them on hand, they just say that you made it up or something. But what Thompson doesn't realize is that Duffy does have the data.
Experiment ended flat Earth, which is the shape of the floor. Will.
There you go, South Celestial Pole. Those stars are rotating in the opposite direction of the north.
You took that in Antarctica?
Robert Schwartz did.
Okay, cool. No problem. Thanks for showing me. Now I forget. Can I get the big screen again? Am I still in it?
Can you reconcile the South Celestial Pole with a flat Earth? Yes or no?
A logical fallacy that occurs when someone distracts from the main topic of an argument by introducing an irrelevant topic. Now, the stars have nothing to do with the shape of the floor. Even Einstein has something called a kinematic equivalence.
Kinematic equivalences they have nothing to do with what kind of rotation you would see. Oh, man.
Ptolemaic model explained the movement of everything in the sky for 1,400 years and was unchanged for 1,400 years. Now I'd like to stop sharing my screen and show.
Yeah, except that was based on the sky rotating versus the Earth rotating, but that only works it still only works if the Earth is a globe.
You might watch,
and he knows that, which is why he absolutely will not engage with it. Except he does engage with it, and Duffy shuts him down.
It's the Prague clock. They had this Prague clock built 600.
Okay, here's something really funny to point out. He's got the Free Palestine flag or bracelets on. And that might seem a little weird considering that flat earthers are all like radical right-wingers for the most part, but they're anti-Semites. Now, saying Free Palestine is not anti-Semitic, but the unfortunate thing is flat earthers think it is, which is why they say it.
But you are not explaining how the South Celestial Pole can exist on a flat Earth. We observed it. It's a natural phenomenon. So we know it exists. So the real question is, can you reconcile what we observed with our own eyes, what we filmed, with a flat Earth, yes or no?
Yeah, I got this flat Earth dome I picked up from Joe Hanby, and we can actually show star trails in the north and star trails in the south and 24-hour moons in the south and 24-hour suns in the south and rainbows and halos and sundogs and eclipses. And just about everything you see in the sky can be modeled right here, or at least shown a physical representation of. So
yeah, I'm very familiar.
Better proof if you're going to try and end flat Earth.
Hey, Nathan, I'm very familiar with Joe Hanby's model. I actually offered him to demonstrate it on our channel, which he declined. And I've refuted his model. So when it comes to his model and the celestial poles, his south celestial pole is a reflection of the north celestial pole. But in reality, there are different stars and different constellations in the south versus the north. So it cannot be a reflection of the north. So that doesn't work. Do you have any other way of reconciling it or no?
I didn't say it's a reflection. I don't think it's a reflection. And when we project it on the top.
Yeah, except your model can only show that it's possible that way if it's a reflection. So you actually did say it's a reflection by appealing to that model to say this is the account for how it works.
For the dome, it's not a reflection.
So what's showing up in the south if you're only projecting stars to the top of the dome?
Ooh.
All right, I know you want to play 21 questions about the sky, but the sky...
A reflection of those stars. It's not a red herring, it's on topic, so we can move on. You're failing miserably here. So what about the 24-hour moon in Antarctica? Can you explain that on a flat Earth?
Yes, of course. No problem. Can I get the big screen, James? Sweet. So if you Google affirming the consequent, it's a logical fallacy where someone assumes that because the outcome of a conditional statement is true, the condition itself must also be true.
We've talked about this so much, the affirming the consequent fallacy. Science, by way of induction, always does this. Now, funny enough, if you apply falsificationism, then you can actually do a deductive argument in the form of modus tollens, where you would say if P, then Q, not Q, therefore not P. If the Earth is flat, a 24-hour sun cannot be observed. A 24-hour sun or moon was observed. That's not Q, therefore not P.
What the sky does and what's happening in the sky does not determine the shape of the floor. It's another red herring.
It actually does, though.
Talking about the sky and pretending you ended flat Earth. Thanks for playing, Will.
Well, the reason I ended flat Earth, Nathan, is because you nor the entire flat Earth community can explain these things that I'm telling you. Like, for example, they can't explain how we got internet in Antarctica. It's very simple. We got it from satellites. So this isn't good. This isn't good.
Explanations are not proof, Will. I don't know if you know that, but you can walk down to the local tavern, find the local village idiot, and
named Nathan Thompson.
Ask him anything under the sun, and he'll give you an explanation for a pint. That doesn't mean he's true. That doesn't mean he's right. Okay?
Yeah, except that their demonstrations are empirically verified. So it's not just a claim or an explanation.
Are not proof. So you sitting over there.
They absolutely are.
Okay, so Nathan, here's the issue. People have noticed, and I brought this up to Joe Hanby, and a lot of people have brought it up to him, that he's not putting the camera inside the dome. He's putting the camera on the outside of the dome to get what might look like a 24-hour sun. But if you put the camera inside, you would never see it. So that's actually a false model because we were not outside of any dome. We never saw any dome, and there was no camera outside the dome. Our cameras were all in Antarctica. So his model doesn't even work. If he were to put a camera on the inside of his dome, there would be no 24-hour sun. Now, again, Nathan, did you notice in our videos that the sun made a wave pattern through the sky, because Joe Hanvey's model doesn't do that.
What the sun does in the sky over a place I've never been has no relevance on the floor that I've tested for the last 10 years and just showed you about a dozen evidences. It's not curving in all directions.
No, you lied in all of your evidences.
We don't have a physical geometric horizon. We see way too far. Thanks for playing, Will.
Okay, Nathan.
Yeah, based on your math, that was deliberately false.
I'm happy to move on. Let's talk about southern flights. So Critical Think flew nonstop from Santiago, Chile to Sydney, Australia. Can you please explain how that flight is possible on a flat Earth and where?
Okay, we got to look at this on a map because as far as I know, they never pull up any visuals. So flying from Chile to Australia, the straight line cuts, it remains in the southern hemisphere just like that. And it's not that far of a distance. It would be, well, I mean, it's pretty far. It would be like from going from California to Japan, but that shortest distance is a straight line. That's how it's accomplished. The only way to do that on a flat Earth is to fly over practically over the North Pole. And so that would be a tremendous distance, and these flights are trackable in real time, so you'd be able to see it happening.
Where the path of that flight travels on a flat Earth?
I don't know. I haven't taken that flight. I just test the floor, Will. That's what I do. But I do have pitch data. 2-hour airplane flight, United Airlines flight. Here's the pitch data. If anybody needs it, send me an email, flatearthflyers@gmail.com. But the pitch data shows that the airplane flew straight and level for 2 hours. Now,
yeah, no shit, because if it maintains altitude, that's straight and level. I actually talk about that. You can see it right here. I talk about that in my book, Why Don't Planes Point Their Nose Downward to Account for the Curvature of the Earth? They don't have to do that because that's literally how flying works. You're maintaining your altitude. Here's the math on that, by the way, and even at the rate that airplanes fly at, you'd have to angle the nose downward at 0.045 degrees to maintain that same altitude over a distance of 10 kilometers. The idea that that's a constant nosedive is stupid because these idiots never do the actual math, or if they do, they fake the math because they're liars.
Now, if you do the math for the globe religion, after 2 hours of flying straight and level, you would be 120 miles.
He thinks that straight and level is a tangent. That's not what straight and level is. Now, in a way, yes, that would be a straight line, but it wouldn't be level because level is perpendicular to the downward acceleration of gravity. Oh, but you haven't proven gravity. Okay, go on a merry-go-round or one of those carnival rides that spins you with a level and hold the level flat to the ground, and you'll notice that the bubble moved. What? Acceleration is causing that bubble to move because and if you want it to be level, you have to balance it at a certain point. You have to, I don't know what the word with that would be, but you have to balance the vectors. We have an outward acceleration vector, and why do I have to change the level in order to balance it? Because there's another acceleration vector, a downward one. The only way to argue otherwise is to appeal to the Aristotelian physics explanation, which is that things fall to the ground because it's in their nature to rest on the ground. If level is just the same thing as the ground or whatever, then you can't change level by introducing acceleration. Again, we know that that's false because our model has gravity and accelerations in it. You have to take it in accordance with the flat Earth model. In the flat Earth model, none of that exists. So the explanation for why levels work doesn't include acceleration, so acceleration cannot be a variable that changes it either. Sometimes I get a lot of flack for this. I explain why it doesn't work on flat Earth, and people say, yeah, but you forgot about gravity. They don't believe in it, guys. You have to explain what their model can explain. Their model can't account for why a level acts the way it does because it's missing that component. If you introduce that component, according to their model, it shouldn't produce any change because a level doesn't measure acceleration in their model.
The reason this flight doesn't work on a flat Earth is because it's so far south. It begins and ends south of the Tropic of Capricorn. As I mentioned, a flat Earth pushes the south out indefinitely, so distances get far. This flight is impossible on a...
Well, it's not just that. It's literally the path that the plane took always remains south of the equator, On a flat Earth, we know that that can't be unless it arced around and stayed in the southern hemisphere, but that would take an extraordinary amount of time. But the time it takes for the flight to happen is recorded.
Flat Earth because of distance, and the time that this flight happens, which is about 13 and a half hours, is also impossible on a flat Earth. So can you reconcile that flight with a flat Earth?
Yeah, of course. There's no curve. You're talking about the sky again, bud. It's a red herring. Are we going to talk about the floor at all this debate, Will?
The airplane flew over the ground. It left from the ground and it landed on the ground and it flew over the ground, Nathan. So actually, Duffy did do that. You know, here's the thing about Nathan Thompson. He looks like a flat earther. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
We're saying, hey, flat Earth can give an explanation for a 24-hour sun. Like, we can explain that. I think they're saying, give us the how. Like, how does it explain it?
I don't know. I didn't make the sky and haven't seen it yet. So hopefully looking to get down there this year. Once I see it, then I'll worry about explaining it.
So he's going to post hoc come up with an explanation. So yes, this absolutely should be the last one of these debates ever, as I was saying. And if anybody ever talks to Nathan Thompson again, you take this video, you show that he lied to do the numbers, and you ask him, you make him answer why he lied. And you do not talk about anything until he gives you a reason for why he lied. I'm sure there's some other funny moments in this almost 3-hour long video, but I can't. See you tomorrow.